Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm here to introduce you to some of the most interesting and successful business people. I want you to learn their stories and what made them be who they are today, the insights and secrets to their success. I want you to have real business people getting real. In this series I call The Real Business Superpowers. Here to join us is Vanessa Van Edwards, best-selling author of Captivate, TEDx speaker, and lead investigator at The Science of People. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. We're gonna be interviewing Vanessa Van Edwards, who is the USA best-selling author of Captivate, TEDx speaker, lead investigator at The Science of People. She's also a corporate speaker and a body language trainer specialized in science-based people skills. Not only that, but she speaks Spanish, English, Mandarin. She's just an amazing science superwoman. Everything that I'm going to be mentioning today, all her talks, her book, all the links are going to be posted below. So please, guys, take a look when you can. And thank you, Vanessa, for being here. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, yeah, and we're across the pond. We're not too far away.
Yeah. So where are you at the moment? Are you in Portland?
I'm in Portland, but this is speaking season, so I've been bouncing all over the place. But yeah, back in Portland for just a moment to chat with you and have hopefully a good call.
Oh, thank you so much. Hopefully it's going to be good. I hope you like it.
Oh, yeah.
So talking about Portland, I actually this year, for you guys, if you don't know what WDS is, it's an amazing event, and Vanessa talked this year. The link to her talk is below. It's amazing, and I had the absolute pleasure to see you in person, which was great. And I love how you hit, like in your talk, you hit some major pain points for a lot of business owners and people that are not seeing success straight away when they want them. And you were completely real about the murkiness behind your success. So I wanted to ask you if you could tell us more about your process, how long it took you to get where you are to be this amazing, successful woman.
Oh gosh, you're far too kind. You know, it's so it was terrifying doing that talk, and the reason is I tend to, when I think about my comfort as a speaker, I get really comfortable around strategies, tactics, and science. You know, like I feel like, oh, if I can teach a scientific study or a framework or tips, that feels like my comfort zone a little bit on stage as a presenter.
Yeah.
What's uncomfortable for me is my stories, the murk, you know, that murkiness,
Yeah.
the not so pretty stuff. And a fellow speaker challenged me last year and said, you know, like, people want to hear that. Like they want the tactics and the science, but they want to hear the real stuff. And so one thing that I think about a lot, which I decided to talk about in this talk, was the swan effect. And so I know you know about this, which is this idea that on the surface, swans look beautiful, so serene. They glide across the pond and the lake. You know, they're beautiful creatures. But below the surface, right below the water, they are furiously paddling through murky, dark water. It's kind of chaotic. It's almost like two different species, you know, above and below the surface.
Yeah.
I think about this a lot when you look at someone's website or social media or YouTube channels or someone on stage. You didn't get to see them backstage. You didn't get to see how many drafts they went through with their slides. You didn't get to see all the failed practices. And so this talk was the very first time where I exposed my murk, if you will, and talked about the very long, slow process of trying to build something great. And I don't know if people who are watching are building something, but I think we're all kind of building something.
Yeah.
It could be a business. It could be as small as a relationship. But I think we're all trying to build something great, and that isn't always pretty, and that's okay.
Yeah, and to be fair, not many people are willing to share it. Everyone talks about going on stage and they talk about their success and how amazing they're doing, and it might be very inspiring, but sometimes we need that realness, that this is how it is, how long it took me to get there to.
Yeah.
And not everyone says that, so that was extremely amazing and inspiring.
Yeah, and remember that, you know, when we're looking at numbers online, we're seeing, they're called vanity metrics for a reason. You know, vanity metrics are likes, shares, hearts, followers. They don't really mean much. And so people will look at my numbers and be like, wow, like 10 million views on YouTube.
Yeah.
And like that looks impressive at first, but one thing I did in the talk is I like zoomed out and I was like, I've been doing YouTube for 11 years. Like it took and no one was on YouTube 11 years ago. Like, let me tell you, people were like, YouTube, like a tube with you? Like people did not even know what it was back then. And my first videos, thank God, are private and hidden because they were a total mess in the very beginning. So you don't see that someone might have been on a platform for a long time. You don't see all the bad posts because they've hidden them. So people, like they think, oh wow, like you've been killing on YouTube, and I'm like, no, you only see videos from the last 4 years. You don't even see the videos from the last the first 6 years. That's how rough they were.
Oh my God. And no, having learned the skills that you currently have and that you teach, how to hack people's behavior, how to teach people this like how to build better connections and how to have more efficient or effective interpersonal relationships. How have that helped you in that process of going from 11 years ago till today?
Yeah, I think it was actually everything. What I mean by that is, for 18 years in school, you're taught math, history, chemistry, English, whatever language you're learning. And it's very much focused on the technical skills. And so most of us were focused on IQ, GPA, SAT scores, all those things. And I thought that was everything. I thought that was the key to success. But what I realized is that actually how I present myself on YouTube is just as important as what I present on YouTube. So in the very beginning, and those videos are just torture for me to rewatch. I was very, very focused on the content, right? I was like, I'm going to deliver a great piece of content on, I don't know, the amount of words that men and women use. It's an interesting piece of content, but how I was presenting it was all scripted, no charisma, no warmth, no passion, no energy, terrible body language, no eye contact, no hand gestures. So people couldn't even get to the message. And I realized, wow, like good content won't even be heard. Like it doesn't even have a chance of getting heard if I don't know how to package it in the right way. And so in a way, I would say that people skills were everything, because whether it was a video or a pitch or a speaking event or an email even, if I couldn't package the content right, it did not get shared or heard in any way. So I think it was almost everything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because I was watching, I think it was TED Vancouver, and we were a group of people because we were getting prepared for the next TEDx Austin University. And there was this very interesting, there was this guy that had this very interesting talk about something. And he knew everything, and he looked like he knew a lot, but no one understood a thing of what he was saying, and no one got the message, and it was such a shame. He spoke super fast, he used very complicated words, and his body language was a disaster. He was super nervous, and no one got anything, which is...
This is like this is like the topic that I really get like jazzed about, and like I'm like getting excited as you talk about it, because that kills me, right? It kills me that there are some incredible TED Talks out there, geniuses. I mean, like actual geniuses, not just like, oh, I'm saying genius. No, like off the charts IQ, brilliant discoveries, Nobel Prize winners, and they get up on stage to take their Nobel Prize, or they finally get the TED stage, and they can't present.
Yeah.
That is a crime. It is a crime that, unfortunately, IQ and PQ do not necessarily go together. And so my favorite kind of students, and I've found that I recognize my favorite students who I get up in the morning for them, are the high achievers, are the people who are above average intelligence. I mean, like, look at our trainers. I know that, Victoria, you're a trainer with us. Like, you are above average. Like, I read your application, and I was like, wow. Your story is incredible, like where you've come from, and like it's incredible. And so I'm like, wow, like this missing piece, or not even missing, because you already are good with people, adding in that PQ to your already there IQ, it's like creating miniature superpowers. And so I think that that's our biggest challenge, is how do we get people who are incredibly smart, very high achievers, big thinkers, how do we make sure they have every single tool at their disposal so they can actually share their message? And that's my number one goal with every course, every lecture. Even now, as we're talking, Like, how can we give those tools very specifically to the right people?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mention it, because I remember, so in terms of your book, you start talking about how you are a recovering awkward person, and how you started your kind of like going through that process of going from an awkward person to where you are now. And what you're saying, the reason why I got to find you and starting into learning people skills and training with you and everything was one of the reasons that your story resonated a lot with me. Because if you guys don't know my story, when I was a kid, I used to be bullied, and I tried to see what the popular kids were doing and trying to kind of like see what their behavior was and trying to replicate it to see if I could get some results. And when I found you, that you were someone that took all that information in, and then you also put it together with science, and you're like, well, actually, this is why it happens. That resonated so much with me that I was like, I have to study this. I have to know who she is, and learn more about her. So can you tell us more about, that's like kind of like my story. For the people that don't know your story, could you tell us more about that recovering awkward person and how you started?
Yeah. So I always, feel like we have sort of this person inside of us that we carry around that either wasn't accepted fully when we were younger, or people criticized or challenged or bullied. And I feel like part of ourselves sort of stunts or stops growing from that phase. And for me, that was third grade. So third grade, I similar to your story, where the cool kids were sort of amazing mirages. Like I kind of watched them from afar.
Yeah.
And I had a really, really hard time making friends. I was really afraid of the recess. Like recess, I would stay in the classroom. I'd beg my teachers if I could like clean the chalkboard, or I would like beg them to stay in because I was terrified of the playground. And what started happening was I started to get hives. So hives are like those kind of bumps. Yeah. And because my social anxiety was so bad, every day before going into school, before recess, before lunch, I would just start to break out. They started usually on my forearms, and they would just slowly creep up my body all the way up to my face. So I was, covered in these red bumps. And I will tell you that it's really hard to make friends as a third grader when you're covered in hives, especially because they're very hot and they're very itchy. And so that, of course, compounded an already bad problem, right? I was already nervous, and that made it even worse. And I completely shut down. I just decided I was never going to be, forget popular. I was never going to be accepted. I was never going to be liked. But my only shot at anything was diving into schoolwork. And so that's what I did. My parents pulled me out of school and put me in a very small all-girls school, because that was a little bit better, right? Having an all-girls environment was a little bit better. Yeah. Also, it was uniform, so there was no clothes, no dressing up. And I just took every class I could. I worked every break. I volunteered. I never did any of the social stuff. And I was able to get the hives under control. Even today, when I'm very, very nervous, I'll get hives still on my forearms. I was teaching a class. Yeah, I was teaching a class at Creative Live. I was doing a course on mastering body language. And I was so nervous because it was a live audience, and it was a very close live audience. And I had people I knew in the audience. I could feel the hives starting on my forearms. You can actually see them on camera if you look closely.
Wow.
So I needed to build frameworks that would not only work to keep me calm, right? Because part of it was physiological, like keeping me actually calm so that I didn't have this adrenaline cortisol response with hives. But it was also being able to then overcome the anxiety and actually interact with people. And so I still use those frameworks. That is exactly what I teach. I teach the exact frameworks that get me through those moments.
Well, and I like everything that I've learned, I use them. Like before we started this talk, I was so nervous. I was just like, they're power posting and trying to get just calm myself down, or like rubbing my my neck, so trying to calm myself down with some of the information that we learned.
And it works.
It does. Great.
Yeah, you sound great. We sound great.
It's funny because for you, so for me, I studied in an all-girls school, and for some reason I was like, no, I'm not always never gonna like me. And but I didn't want to change, even because I was like, well, if I start again, it might get even harder. So I may as well just kind of like continue with this. So I was in an all girls school all the time, and I used to stay kind of like that in the how's it called, the library, until once they told me like, well, now one of the teachers came, hey, you have to go to recess now. I'm like, no, I'm okay here. I don't want to go. And then I couldn't stay there anymore.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's exactly me. And I think, by the way, when I started sharing this story, so the first time I shared this story, it was kind of by accident. I was on a podcast with a friend a few years back, and I was talking about a course that I was doing. I think I was talking about my lie detection course on this podcast. And because we were friendly, I dropped my guard, which was good, right? I let a little bit of the murk come through.
Yeah.
And she asked something like, what's your obsession with truth hunting? Because I think that we all sort of pick careers to solve our own kind of personal problems.
Yes.
And so when I do a lot of lie detection research, and I said to her, I was lied to a lot as a kid. And she was like, really? And I like shared a little bit of the Hive story and kind of what happened, I think, around that. And I was like, oh my God, like, I cannot believe I just shared that, like, not with my friend, but actually, like, this was a podcast. And so it was okay. In fact, people started writing me emails saying, oh my gosh, just like you did, I had the same thing. I begged my teachers not to go out for recess. I actually signed up for extra hall monitor duty so I wouldn't have to go to recess. Like, all these stories. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not the only one. And so when I came out with my book, I had actually a different introduction for the book. And my editor, love my editor, Nikki Papadopoulos at Penguin Random House, always got to give her a shout out. She emailed me and she's like, no, Vanessa, I really think your introduction is very smart, a lot of science, a lot of citations, but I really think that what people want to hear and need to hear is the real stuff. And I was like, ugh. I don't like that so much. And so after much back and forth, we decided I'd completely rewrite the introduction, much shorter, and I opened with the line, which is a crazy opening line for a book. Hi, my name is Vanessa. I'm a recovering awkward person. And some very funny, horrible examples of how I'm a recovering awkward person.
Yeah.
And that was a really big, horrible leap for me, but I think it works because I've gotten people who come out and said, oh my gosh, I thought you were speaking my story too.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That vulnerability, that intro, hey, this is me. This is how it started. I think that connects with many people, including me. It's like, wow, there's someone like me, and look where she is, and look like how far she's gone, and all the other things that I can improve.
Yes.
Do you think? I actually wasn't planning on going into this conversation, but do you think that people that were bullied when kids, they tend to be more observant as grown-ups?
Yeah, so there is actually science behind not bullying specifically, but trauma of any kind. So they have distinctly found that children who've experienced any kind of trauma in their childhoods, that could be, from bullies or, unfortunately family members, they become much better at reading microexpressions and body language. In fact, truth wizards, this is a very small portion of the population. I think it's like less than 1% of the population are truth wizards, which means they can detect lies with above 80% accuracy. When they looked at those truth wizards and looked into their family history, most of those truth wizards had some kind of trauma. So yes, fortunately or fortunately, if we experience trauma, we become very attuned to the people around us, especially adults, or our peers if they were the ones who are causing the trauma, because we want to be able to predict what's going to happen. To protect ourselves. And so, yes, it's very, very common that instead of shutting down from an observational perspective, we actually get heightened awareness.
Wow. So we're almost running out of time. I kind of wanted to talk really briefly in your TED Talk about how it is important to be contagious. So you guys watch it. It's all about how you can give other people the feelings that you're feeling, how you're contagious. So I wanted to ask you, how do you want people to feel when they interact with you? And how can people tap into that?
Yeah, so I have a quote. I'm looking at it right now. It's taped to my screen, and it says this: may anyone who comes into contact with me, whether they hear about me, or they see me, or they think about me, experience a benefit and happiness. So that is the focal point of my work, that I'm creating videos or articles where oftentimes someone's interacting with me without me actually interacting with them. They might be reading something that I wrote or watch something that I said. And my number one goal is to try to infect benefit, actually. So it's benefit in some way. That could be a learning, it could be an aha moment, it could be activating something for them, it could be a new idea, and hopefully that gives them a little bit more happiness, in whatever way that means for them. More life satisfaction, more fulfillment, more contentment, a spark of joy, whether that's a silly, horrible joke I make or a funny image that I put up. That's why in my YouTube videos, I try really hard that if every 3 minutes at least I'm trying to give some kind of a laugh, like a laugh out loud.
Oh yeah. Laugh. Yeah, like the end of the videos where you're like dressed like as a scientist and say something kind of like cool and funny. Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that.
And thank you. That is because I'm like, can I end on a little spark of happiness? Like in my like in these videos, I'm writing these scripts and I'm like, okay, the benefit here is the learning, where I'm teaching a tactic or a science or a framework, but I do also want the and happiness is important. So that's why I will start or end on some kind of a funny note. So I'm trying to give both that benefit and happiness. So I don't know if benefit is a feeling, but it is what I'm trying to do most of the time.
Well, to be fair, when I met you the first time, I met Vanessa the first time when she did her TED Talk in London. And I was super nervous because I hadn't met her in person, and she was like this, like, oh, she's my teacher, I'm a mentor, she's amazing, and I have never met her before, so I was super nervous. And when you got there, you were super excited, super happy, and that just calmed me down and just made me be happy and excited as well. So the whole like contagious excitement and happiness, and I think even now I was quite nervous about this interview. And just talking to you was like, okay, now I'm calm. Now I'm chill. It's all good. Yeah. So it's awesome.
I was feeling calm too before this interview. So hopefully when we hopped on before we started like broadcasting it was like, okay, like we're good. Like,
yeah,
we're just, I think that the hard thing is we always want to deliver, right? Like, we want to deliver a good interview, we want to deliver good content. And I found that in the interviews where I go on and I'm like, I've got to deliver, right? Like I gotta be impressive and be important and like share all these things. Those are my worst interviews. Whereas I'm just like, you know what? Like if there's a benefit or any happiness I can go, like that's better. And that keeps me calm, which then hopefully infects everyone listening also with calm, and then hopefully you with calm too.
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm so like, okay, so cool. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So let's see. I think we're about to finish now. So I wanted to ask you 2 last questions. What are you most grateful for?
Right now, I love that question. It's always good to remember. Right now, I am so grateful that I am home. And it is beautiful fall. I love the fall, and in the Pacific Northwest, it's just gorgeous. And so I started my day with a hike. I'm ending my day with a hike. When I can do 2 hikes a day, it's like the greatest thing ever. And so I am very, very grateful for this season, this time around.
Yeah. And it's Halloween. Yay. It's my favorite. This is my favorite day.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, my favorite day of the year. More than my birthday.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. I wish I had candy to give you. I love candy.
It's like throw it away.
Candy.
Yeah. And then let's see. Where do you see? Actually, there's 2 more questions. Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
3 years. 3 years.
Or 5 years, if you want, or 10.
I like 3. I like 3.
3? Okay.
I really, this is a very specific thing. I very much believe in trying to have as specific goals as possible. I think that I really, really want to offer a people skills training that's enterprise level, very easy to adopt. I think that a lot of companies, they do all kinds of training for their employees. They onboard employees, they give them software training, they give them tech training, maybe they give them sexual harassment training. Why in the world do we not have team building training? Do we not have
the connection's cutting off.
Is that any better?
That's better.
Okay.
Perfect.
That we're regularly delivering enterprise level trainings.
That's pretty cool. Oh, also you have people's schools now. I forgot to mention that.
Yes, that's exactly what we're hoping. Is we're hoping to bring people skills to companies.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like such a good idea.
I hope so.
People need to know this stuff.
Yes, everyone.
Yeah. And then finally, we only have 3 minutes left, so I just want to finish in what would you like to tell our listeners that are struggling with success and connecting with people, and like how would you like to end, and then as an end note?
Yeah, I think the most important thing that if you can focus on anything, it would be to find your natural inclinations. So instead of trying to adopt something that you're not, or try something new that doesn't feel right to you, I would much rather you think what already has worked for me. Like, what were my best interactions, my best conversations, my best events, and how can you optimize for more of that? Because I find that if we figure out what is already working for us, it's so much easier to dial that up as opposed to trying something completely new. So figure out what's already working and your existing strengths, and then just dial them up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for being here and sharing all this information and everything. It was amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time for this interview.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for everyone for joining, and thanks, Victoria, for having me.
Yeah, and guys, if you want to follow Vanessa, all the links are posted below. Her website, her book, the talks, everything is there, so you can go and find her. She's all over the internet, so you're not going to miss her. And we'll be doing a series of interviews with amazing, influential people. And I wanted to start with one of my favorites as my number one. And help us giving us thumbs up, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, our website, everywhere. And all the information is going to be in the comment section. So thank you again, Vanessa. Thank you so much. It was really, really good. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yes, it was great. Thanks for everyone for listening, and you're the best.
Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll be posting videos like this every week, and follow us on Twitter at Behavior Hacker. We are Be Origami at beorigami.com.